They erased my daughter from the family Christmas cards. Not by accident, not through some printing error. They paid someone to Photoshop her out of existence, and they smiled while doing it. I should have seen it coming. The signs were always there, written in every dismissive glance, every backhanded compliment. Every time my mother Eleanor chose my sister Brenda over me. But nothing could have prepared me for the morning my 6-year-old daughter Lily stood in my parents' living room, tears streaming down her face, holding a stack of glossy Christmas cards that contained everyone in our family, except her. The day the photograph was taken, I remember feeling that familiar knot in my stomach as we walked into the upscale photography studio. Brenda arrived in a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent, her husband Richard trailing behind in an expensive suit, and their son Jesse already positioned front and center, like the crown prince he was treated as. Lily wore a simple yellow dress that I had found at a thrift store and carefully altered to fit her perfectly. She loved that dress. The color reminded her of sunshine and daisies. She was so excited to be included in the family photo, chattering the entire drive about how she wanted to stand next to her cousin Jessie. My mother Eleanor barely acknowledged us when we arrived. She was too busy fussing over Brenda's hair and complimenting her diamond earrings. My father Mark hovered nearby, nodding along with whatever Eleanor said, as he always did. Grandma Evelyn was the only one who smiled at us genuinely. She was seated in a wheelchair at the center of the arrangement, her sharp eyes taking in everything. At 87, she missed nothing. During the shoot, my mother kept making comments. "Tilt your head that way, Lily. No, the other way. Move back just a touch." Each request pushed my daughter further to the periphery of the frame. But Lily smiled through it all, her 6-year-old heart still innocent enough to believe she belonged there. We were invited to Christmas morning at my parents' house, which surprised me. Usually they found excuses to celebrate separately with Brenda and Richard, leaving Lily and me with whatever scraps of attention they could spare. When we arrived that Christmas morning, the house was filled with the scent of cinnamon rolls and expensive coffee. Brenda was sprawled on the leather couch, her manicured nails tapping against her phone screen. My mother was arranging presents under the enormous tree. Lily ran straight to the pile of Christmas cards displayed on the mantel, eager to see the family photo. I was hanging up our coats when I heard her excited voice call out, "Mommy, the cards are here!" Then silence. I turned around to see Lily standing frozen, a card clutched in her small hands. Her smile had vanished. She picked up another card, then another, her movements becoming more frantic. "Where am I?" "Mommy, I'm not in any of the pictures." I crossed the room and took a card from her trembling hands. The image showed our entire family, arranged exactly as we had been positioned in the studio. Everyone was there. My parents, Brenda and Richard, Jessie, even Grandma Evelyn. The composition was perfect, the lighting flawless. But Lily was gone, completely erased. I grabbed another card, then another. In every single one, the space where my daughter had sat was seamlessly filled with extended floorboards. If you looked closely, you could see the telltale signs: a shadow that fell wrong, the edge of Jessie's hand that ended too abruptly, where Lily's shoulder should have been. They had actively paid someone to digitally remove her from the family portrait. "Why am I not there?" Lily's voice cracked as tears began streaming down her face. "Did I do something wrong?" Before I could answer, Brenda's voice cut through the room with false sweetness. "Oh, honey, it must have been a printing error or something." But I saw the glance she exchanged with my mother. My mother, Eleanor, walked over and picked up one of the cards. We just wanted a cleaner photo this year. The yellow dress was a bit off-tone. We spent quite a bit of money on professional retouching. You paid someone to erase my daughter from family photos? Don't be so dramatic, Sarah. Brenda rolled her eyes. We just wanted one nice picture. You should be grateful we even invited you to the photo shoot. My father, Mark, finally spoke, his voice weak as always. It was a family decision. We all agreed the composition would be better this way. Lily was sobbing now, her small body shaking against my side. Am I not part of the family? Something inside me snapped. Not into anger, though there was plenty of that. It snapped into clarity. For years, I had accepted being the lesser daughter. I had swallowed every slight, every comparison. Sex, 0.05. But this was about my innocent child being told she was not worthy of being seen. I scooped Lily into my arms and carried her upstairs to the attic bedroom where we always stayed. It was cold and damp, with a single small window and furniture that had been discarded from other parts of the house. I held Lily while she cried, whispering that she was loved, she was seen, she was important. That night, after Lily finally cried herself to sleep, clutching her stuffed rabbit, I lay awake in the darkness. My mind raced through years of memories. When I married young and got pregnant with Lily, my parents had been furious. My husband left when Lily was 2, and suddenly I was a single mother. I had moved back temporarily, which had turned into 3 years of living in this attic room, working double shifts at a diner. Brenda had married Richard, a successful real estate developer, in a wedding that cost more than most people's houses. My parents paid for everything. When I got married in a small courthouse ceremony, they gave me a blender. Every birthday, every holiday followed the same pattern. Brenda received expensive gifts and lavish praise. I received criticism and second-hand items. But I had always told myself it would be different for Lily. Instead, they had extended their rejection to include her. I pulled out my phone and searched for Detective Marcus Chen. He had been a friend of my ex-husband, one of the few decent people in that whole situation. He had given me his card years ago and told me to call if I ever needed help. I texted him before dawn. I need your help investigating my family's finances. I'll pay whatever it takes. His response came an hour later. Tell me everything. I met Marcus at a coffee shop and told him everything. Not just about the Christmas cards, but about years of watching my parents funnel money to Brenda while I struggled. I need documentation of everything, because when I confront them, I want proof. Marcus nodded. Financial records, bank transfers, property deeds, I can get all of that. 3 days after Christmas, I went to see Grandma Evelyn. She was alone in her room, working on a crossword puzzle. I knocked softly, and she gestured me in. Show me, she said simply. I handed her one of the Christmas cards. She studied it for a long moment, her expression hardening. They erased her. Yes. Tell me everything and don't leave anything out. I sat and the words poured out. Years of feeling inadequate, of trying to earn approval that would never come, of watching Brenda receive everything while Lily and I received nothing. I told her about working nights, about the shame of asking for help and being told I should have made better choices. Grandma Evelyn listened without interrupting, her jaw growing tighter. When I finished, she was quiet for several minutes. I didn't know it was this bad. This is unconscionable. She reached over and squeezed my hand. This house belongs to me, Sarah. Did you know that? I shook my head. Sex 0.05. Your grandfather left it to me with very specific instructions. I've been letting Eleanor and Mark live here because they're my son and daughter-in-law, but I can change that arrangement any time I choose. Let me handle this. 2 days later, Grandma Evelyn called a family meeting. Everyone gathered in the living room, Brenda and Richard included. Next to her stood a man in an expensive suit who she introduced as her attorney, David Morrison. I've asked you all here because I have an announcement. It concerns my estate and this house. She nodded at the attorney. Eleanor and Mark, you'll find several documents in here. The first is a notice to vacate. You have 30 days to move out of this house. The room exploded. My mother's face went from confusion to shock to rage. What are you talking about? This is our home. No, Eleanor. This is my home. You've been living here as my guests, and I'm terminating that arrangement. You can't do this! Someone has obviously influenced you. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years. Sarah and Lily will be staying here with me. The house will pass to them when I die, along with everything else I own. Brenda jumped to her feet. This is insane. Sarah has obviously manipulated you. I am 87 years old, not senile. I've made this decision with full awareness. Mr. Morrison has conducted all the necessary assessments to verify my mental competency. The attorney spoke. Mrs. Whitmore has undergone a full cognitive evaluation by 2 independent physicians. She is of sound mind. These documents are legally binding. My mother's face had gone pale. You can't just throw us out. You have Brenda. I'm sure she'll be happy to help after all you've done for her. The look on Brenda's face told a different story. This is Sarah's fault. My mother rounded on me. You poisoned her against us. I showed her the Christmas cards. That's all I did. It was just a photograph. You're blowing this completely out of proportion. You erased a child from family photos, Grandma Evelyn said. You made a 6-year-old feel invisible. That's unforgivable. That's when my mother made her final play. She pulled out her phone and dialed 911. Please, I need help. My elderly mother-in-law is being abused by my daughter. She's being forced to sign documents. Within 20 minutes, 2 police officers and an adult protective services investigator arrived. My mother put on quite a performance, crying about elder abuse and manipulation. Officer Ramirez, a stern-faced woman, separated us for individual interviews. They spoke with everyone, then spent a long time with Grandma Evelyn. When it was my turn, I told them everything, honestly. The years of mistreatment, the Christmas cards. I showed them photos of the attic room where Lily and I had been living. The APS investigator examined everything carefully, Sex 0.05, documenting the spacious master suite where my parents lived, and the cold attic with its single window. After 3 hours, Officer Ramirez gathered everyone. We've completed our assessment. Mrs. Whitmore is fully competent to make her own decisions. Her attorney has provided documentation that all legal requirements have been met. There is no evidence of abuse or coercion. Furthermore, We are concerned about the living conditions of the minor child in this household. The attic room does not meet basic standards. The child can live somewhere else if she doesn't like it," my mother snapped. Officer Ramirez's expression hardened. "Mrs. Morrison, I strongly suggest you comply with the eviction notice." That's when Marcus arrived. He walked in carrying a thick folder. "Officers, you might want to see this." He spread documents across the table. Bank statement showing over $800,000 transferred to Brenda Morrison over 15 years. Property deeds, car titles, credit card statements, evidence of a trust fund diverted entirely to one daughter. My mother's face went white. "That's private information." "Public records, mostly. And bank statements from accounts where Mrs. Evelyn Whitmore was a co-holder. She authorized the investigation." The attorney added, "We're prepared to file a civil suit for the return of funds taken without Mrs. Whitmore's knowledge." Officer Ramirez looked at the documents with disgust. "I think you should leave voluntarily before this gets more complicated." After the police left, my parents stood like statues. Brenda was already calculating exit strategies. "You've destroyed this family," my mother said, looking at me with hatred. "No, Mom. You did that years ago." The next 3 weeks were tense. My parents packed slowly, making a show of their martyrdom. They called Brenda repeatedly, asking for help. She made excuses every time. Taking in her parents would cost money, and Brenda had never been interested in that. Marcus continued his investigation and uncovered more. Richard's real estate business had several questionable deals my parents had ignored. When Marcus sent his findings to the state licensing board, Richard's business started to collapse. On moving day, my parents drove away to a small apartment in a rough neighborhood. My mother did not look back. Lily watched from the window. "Are we really going to stay here?" "Yes, baby. This is our home now." The next 6 months transformed our lives. We renovated the attic into a proper bedroom for Lily, painting the walls soft yellow. I quit the diner and enrolled to finish my bachelor's degree. Grandma Evelyn paid for it, saying it was the education fund that should have been set up years ago. Lily started therapy to work through the trauma of being erased. She had nightmares sometimes, but slowly she started to heal. She made friends at school and joined an art class where she painted flowers, always yellow daisies. Grandma Evelyn and Lily became inseparable. Every evening they worked on puzzles or painted together. Grandma taught Lily that family was about who showed up for you, who saw you, who loved you unconditionally. I heard from Brenda only once, 3 months later. She called asking for money. Richard's business had completely imploded. Could I help? "I'm sorry, I can't." She called me names and hung up. I never heard from her again. My parents tried to reach out a few times through text messages. They wanted to see Lily, they said. But their messages always included jabs at me and expectations that I should help them. I blocked their numbers. On Lily's 7th birthday, we had a small party in the backyard. Just a few friends, Marcus and his wife, and Grandma Evelyn. We decorated with yellow daisies, and Lily wore a new yellow dress. When it was time for photos, she stood front and center, beaming. Later that night, I sat with Grandma Evelyn on the back porch. "Thank you for everything," I said. "You don't need to thank me. You would have found your way out eventually. I just sped up the process. You're stronger than you think." "Do you ever regret it?" She considered the question. I regret that it came to that point, but I don't regret my decision. They showed me who they were, and I believed them. A year after the eviction, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in social work. Lily and Grandma Evelyn were in the front row, cheering louder than anyone else. I thought about my parents, how they had missed this moment. Their absence did not hurt anymore. I got a job at a nonprofit helping women and children in difficult situations. Every day I saw myself in their faces. The struggle to believe you deserved better. The courage it took to say enough. When Lily was 8, she painted a self-portrait. She painted herself as a yellow daisy, bright and strong, with deep roots. Around her were other flowers, different colors, creating a garden of support. "That's us," she explained. "You and Great-Grandma Evelyn and my friends and everyone who sees me." I hung the painting where the old family photos used to be. This was our family now, small but real, visible and whole. On Christmas Eve that year, we took our own family photos in the backyard, just the 3 of us. We laughed and made silly faces. Not a single one was edited. Not a single person was erased. 2 years after everything changed, Grandma Evelyn called me to her room. "I need to tell you something. I've been to the doctor. The cancer is back." My world tilted. "What? When?" "I'm not going to do treatment this time. I'm 89. I've had a good life." She held up her hand when I protested. "What I need is for you to promise me something. Promise you'll keep living the life you've built. Don't let guilt pull you back into toxicity." "I promise." "And promise you'll tell Lily about me. And I was proud of the women you both became." "She knows that already." "I know. That's the greatest gift. To be loved by that child. To see her grow up knowing her worth." In May, on a morning when the garden was full of blooming daisies, Grandma Evelyn died peacefully in her sleep. The funeral was small. My parents sent a card but did not attend. Brenda sent nothing. At the reception, Lily stood up and read a speech she had written. She talked about how Great-Grandma Evelyn had taught her that being strong meant standing up for yourself, that love was not about keeping score, that the most beautiful gardens were where every flower had room to grow. The reading of the will happened a week later. Everything came to Lily and me. The house, her savings, her investments. Enough to secure Lily's future, to give us stability. My parents tried to contest the will. Brenda joined them. But Mr. Morrison had done his job well. After several months, they gave up. I received one final letter from my mother. It was bitter and accusatory, calling me a manipulator and a thief. I read it once, then burned it. "Do you think they'll ever understand?" Lily asked, watching the paper burn. "Probably not. Some people spend their whole lives blaming others." "That's sad." "It is. But it's not our responsibility to fix them." We used part of the inheritance to set up a scholarship fund in Grandma Evelyn's name for young single mothers pursuing education. Every year, we met the recipients and heard their stories, and I saw myself in them. 3 years after the Christmas card incident, I ran into my mother at a grocery store. She looked older, worn down. We stared at each other across the produce section. "Sarah," she said, and I heard something that might have been regret. Mom. How is Lily? She's wonderful, happy, thriving. My mother nodded. I've thought about calling, but you haven't. No. Your father and we're managing. Brenda doesn't speak to us much anymore. I didn't know. She blames us for everything, says we spoiled her and set her up to fail. I looked at my mother and saw someone who had spent her life building a house of cards based on appearances. And now that it had collapsed, she had no idea how to build something real. Mom, if you want to apologize, if you want to try to have a relationship, there's a path forward. But it requires you to acknowledge what you did. She stiffened. I don't think we need to rehash the past. Then we don't have anything to talk about. I started to push my cart past her. Wait. Are you happy? The question surprised me. Yes. For the first time in my life, I'm genuinely happy. Because of me being gone? No. Because I finally stopped trying to earn love from people who were never going to give it. Because I learned that I deserved better. She flinched. We were your family. Were. Past tense, and she did not follow. When I got home, Lily and I sat together in the house that Grandma Evelyn had left us. The walls were covered with photos now. Lily at every age, smiling and present and seen. The three of us together, a family that chose each other. There was one photo I loved. It was taken on Grandma Evelyn's last birthday. We were in the garden, surrounded by yellow daisies. All three of us were laughing. It was unposed and imperfect and real. That photo sat on the mantel where the Christmas cards had once been. A reminder of what we had become, what we had chosen, what we had fought for. Sometimes I thought about the girl I used to be, the one who would have done anything to be included in a family photo. I wished I could tell her that being erased from that picture was the best thing that ever happened. That it would set her free to create her own picture, her own definition of love. Lily grew into a remarkable young woman. She studied art in college and became a teacher, working with children who had experienced trauma. She painted murals in schools and community centers, always incorporating yellow daisies. On her 18th birthday, she asked to see the Christmas card again. I had kept it, tucked away. We looked at it together, at the space where she had been erased. It doesn't hurt anymore, she said, surprised. It just looks silly now. They went through all that trouble to remove a 6-year-old from a photo? They did, but in doing so, they removed themselves from our lives, and that turned out to be the greatest gift. Lily hugged me tight. I'm glad it happened. Is that wrong? No, sweetheart. Because if it hadn't happened, we might still be there, trying to earn love from people who weren't capable of giving it. Instead, we're here, with a life we built ourselves. And a garden full of daisies, Lily added with a smile. And a garden full of daisies. Now, sitting in my garden on a Sunday morning, I am 50 years old. Lily is 26 and thriving. My parents are still alive but distant. Brenda I hear about occasionally, always struggling. I am at peace. Not because I destroyed anyone, but because I finally learned that I could not fix people who did not want to be fixed. I could only save myself and my daughter. Our neighborhood became known for the daisies. Lily plants them everywhere. People ask about them, and she tells them, "They're resilient. They grow back stronger every year." They remind me that being seen and choosing yourself is the most beautiful thing you can do. The story was ours to keep, and sitting here, surrounded by yellow daisies, watching Lily visit with her own cup of coffee, I know that we won. Not by revenge, but by simply refusing to be invisible anymore. They tried to erase my daughter from their perfect picture. Instead, they erased themselves from ours. And we were better for it.